episode, we will be exploring a beautiful island located to the south of Victoria, separated from the mainland of Australia by the Bass Strait. The island is still very wild, with over 40% of it being protected by some form of reserve, including 19 national parks and various World Heritage Sites. This is Tasmania. Tasmania has the largest exposure of dolerite in the world. A major intrusion of dolerite occurred in the Jurassic era. This widespread intrusion covered a third of Tasmania and possibly more in the past. These events have shaped Tasmania into a landscape like no other. These incredible dolerite peaks are truly a sight to behold. Tasmania has many different biomes across its various regions. It is the most forested state in Australia, and it preserves the country's largest area of temperate rainforest. Tasmania is covered with a large network of rivers and lake systems. A lot of them are home to the elusive platypus, which I will be trying to find in my time here. The rainforests of Tasmania are among the world's oldest forests. The vegetation here has been isolated from the rest of the world for a very long time. Various ancient plant genera still occur in the wet temperate rainforests. Some as old as 60 million years, tracing all the way back to the ancient supercontinent Gondwana. The rainforests here are very different to the tropical rainforests. Instead of hot and steamy, the forests here are cool, dark and damp. Mystical forests full of fungi and moss. Many different types of fern give the forests a fairy tale feel. As you'll see, the island has a high concentration of waterfalls, which makes for great exploring. This Pacific gull has caught a fish, but it has to defend its catch from various scavengers looking for an easy meal. Kelp beds are beautiful and important marine habitats found on rocky bottom in shallow waters close to shore. Kelp absorbs nutrients, water and carbon dioxide directly from the surrounding seawater. Sea urchins are the main grazers of kelp, normally removing only very little of the kelp. Recently, kelp habitats have been susceptible to overgrazing by sea urchins. Here in Tasmania, ocean warming has allowed large numbers of sea urchin to spread from mainland Australia poleward into Tasmania, causing extensive overgrazing of kelp. This has led to the collapse of over 95% of the eastern Tasmanian kelp beds. Although there are only 3 species of snakes in Tasmania, all of them are venomous. The dark colour many Tasmanian snakes have is an adaptation to the cold environment, enabling them to absorb heat faster. This snake here is a tiger snake. It is one of the most venomous snakes in the world. They produce their highly toxic venom in large amounts. Despite being so deadly, they are very timid and usually retreat at the approach of a human. Like most snakes, tiger snakes first try to flee. If they feel threatened, they will bluff, and only as a last resort will they attack. If threatened, the tiger snake will flatten out its neck and raise its head to make itself appear frightening. Mostly they will not bite unless provoked. There is a lot of fear around snakes, but in reality, snake bites are very rare. Even lightning strikes kill more people per year in Australia than snakes. The Freycinet Peninsula circuit is a 30-kilometre hike on the east coast of Tasmania. It crosses through forests and heathlands, over spectacular granite mountain ranges and onto beautiful beaches, ending at the famous Wineglass Bay. We have taken the ferry across to Maria Island. In 1825, in the convict era of Australia, the island became a penal settlement. From 1842, the island was used as a convict probation station, but by 1850, the station was abandoned. In the early 1960s, the first moves were made towards forming a fauna reserve, and in 1971, Maria Island was declared a national park. There are no roads on the island, which makes a peaceful haven for all the wildlife. The island is home to many marsupials such as wombats, kangaroos, wallabies, and Tasmanian devils. Wombats are expert diggers, and they live in large burrows underground, often creating complex tunnel and chamber networks. Wombats are marsupials and also have a pouch for their young. What's special about their pouch is that it faces backwards. This gives the advantage that when digging, the mother doesn't gather soil in its pouch and all over the joey. This wombat seems to have entered another's feeding ground, resulting in a dispute between the two. Along this part of the rugged southern Tasmanian coastline, unrelenting wild waves pound away at the coastal rock, forming dramatic formations. This cave is called Remarkable Cave, not only because of its unique form and the waves that come crashing through, but also because of the opening, which when viewed from this angle is the shape of Tasmania itself. Here we have the tessellated pavement, a natural wonder which looks like it's man-made. The pavement is an intertidal rock platform. Around 290 to 260 million years ago, a decompression in the Earth's surface was located in central eastern Tasmania. Streams transported silt into the basin, mud built up and sea ice transported rocks into the basin. They settled into the silt when the ice that carried them melted. Then, around 160 to 60 million years ago, the silt was compacted and became siltstone. Through stresses in the Earth's crust, the flat-lying siltstone was cracked. These cracks, exaggerated by erosion, have created this tiled appearance. Our last stop on the eastern coastline before we head west is Mount Wellington, which on one side gives an incredible view of Tasmania's capital Hobart, and on the other a glimpse of the untouched southwest wilderness. The southwest wilderness of Tasmania is a remote and mostly inaccessible area containing extensive mountain ridges, steep valleys, moorlands and deep lakes. Most of the area is only accessible by foot. Once a shallow, isolated lake with white quartzite beaches, in 1972 the Tasmanian government allowed the Hydroelectric Commission to dam the Gordon River and flood the valley, resulting in this massive lake that exists now. A bitter environmental debate started Australia's move towards environmental awareness. It was the flooding of Lake Bennet that saw the birth of the world's first green political party. Even today, there is support for draining the impoundment and restoring the valley to its natural form. Western Tasmania has a much cooler and wetter climate than the east. Frequent low-pressure systems hit the west coast, causing rain, snow and ice. The mountain ranges block these systems from impacting the east. This area receives more rainfall than anywhere else in Australia. All this rain has shaped the landscape into an incredible collection of streams, wild rivers and waterfalls. Temperate rainforests cover 10% of Tasmania's landmass, and they extend from sea level all the way up to subalpine environments. Tasmania's alpine environments are concentrated in the western half of the island and extend nearly the entire length. We are heading towards the Walls of Jerusalem National Park, where we will be embarking on a multi-day hike within the central Plateau region of the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area. As we started our hike in the walls of Jerusalem National Park, we encountered this echidna digging up soil with his beak, searching for ants. The hike is home to 3 historic huts. This hut is called Trapper's Hut and was used by snarers as a place to shelter from the winter snow and to dry skins. It was originally built in 1946 and it was then rebuilt in 1990. The Central Plateau is the largest area of high ground in Tasmania. Sculpted thousands of years ago by glaciers, it is a wild place of subalpine moorlands, rugged Dolerite peaks, and groves of ancient pencil pines. It is also referred to as the land of 1,000 lakes. These lakes are home to platypus, native fish called galaxias, frogs, and burrowing crayfish. These pencil pines are endemic to Tasmania's high country. They date back to the supercontinent Gondwana. They are located around tarns, streams and lakes due to their high sensitivity to fire. They can reach ages of over 1,200 years. This is a black currawong. It is endemic to Tasmania and breeds mainly in the Central Highlands. It is omnivorous, feeding on a wide variety of food, including insects, carrion and berries. Despite having a crow-like appearance, they are more closely related to magpies or butcher birds. I encountered these birds often during my time here in Tasmania, and I grew fascinated with them. They have a very unique call and sometimes bold behavior. This is Lake Ball Hut. It was built by Ray Boy Miles and several trusted companions using traditional techniques and locally sourced pencil pine. A true son of the mountains, Boyle Miles first came to the Western Highlands with his father in 1925. Aged 5, he hunted, fished and built huts in the mountains. Following traumatic experiences in Japanese prisoner of war camps during World War II, he increasingly sought solace and healing in the high country. Here he left behind the cares of the lowland and found a relationship with the land. Boy Miles is locally regarded as one of the most accomplished bushmen in the region. He was an almost mystical figure due to his prowess in the bush, his survival of brutal war experiences, and his eccentric and reclusive character. Hundreds of tiny marine fossils can be found here at this magical cascading waterfall. After evading us for a whole journey, we finally found a platypus. We were very lucky to see one in the day, as they are mostly nocturnal and best spotted at dusk or dawn. Like the echidna, they are also an egg-laying mammal. Despite its habitat being in rivers, lakes and ponds, they can only stay underwater for around 2 minutes. They are very unique and interesting creatures. I was so happy to finally see one.